So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to dunk our boyfriend in the mud. And this prevents him from initiating the starting cutscene of the game. And in order to get past this unbreakable stick, we gotta web it down over and over and over again while our boyfriend fruitlessly tries to come back. Then after this, we're going to do a journal transition, which involves opening the journal during a loading zone so that we can get past a moth who would otherwise give us a lengthy dialogue telling us what to do. We don't need that moth to tell us what to do, so we're just going to go straight to ants. And we're going to initiate elevator skip, which is another trick using the journal transition. You're telling me. Now we're in the mech. God damn it. Now we're in the mechant hub. And we're going to skip a whole series of puzzles by jumping up here like this to get this cog, which will power various parts of various things. We're trying to build a mechanical ant for these this ant colony. Push the button. Now this bridge goes down so we can go into the fuel area. What's coming up next is a trick called TPI, where I will aim a certain way going into this loading zone and immediately get that pipe into place. Saves a lot of time. Oh, whoops. Now we gotta grab these cogs. So a thing you're gonna see me do a lot here is you're going to see me item hover, which is webbing an item and using it to essentially fly. This uses a jump spam bind, which is mainly there to kind of level the playing field in terms of like hardware, but also it just opens up a lot of opportunities for the run. Gotta fix this cog real quick. There we go. And now we're set to go to the water area. Whoops. That's awful. This is something we call water vader, which is just kind of easing down the right side of that elevator so that we can skip the cycle. Pressing these buttons down with webs. You're supposed to actually use objects to keep them down, but you don't have to. You can just web them down. Going through there as fast as possible. And here's the water pipe area, which a lot of different runners have different setups for this. This is mine. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can go about this. Once all three pipes are set in place, whoops. We will go back up towards the mechant area, and then we will do legs. Trying to remember like what other kinds of things I should talk about. I guess while we're here, in general, we have two different kinds of webs. Grapple, which is what I'm using to get around mostly, and weave, which is what happens when I'm leaving a web behind. Then I'm weaving, otherwise I'm grappling. Oh, get past this motion sensor detected spike bar. Oh, we're supposed to try and get past that by quickly going through it before it can close on us, but it's not meant to be. Anyway, this is probably the most confusing journal transition in the game. So this one does a few things. It actually knocks down this leg part over here where it's supposed to be, as opposed to like stuck in a box at the top of that room. And it also like deactivates all those motion sensor things and makes it so that one of them actually hits us towards the center or the left part of the room. It's really weird, but it's really useful. That room would take a lot longer without that. So now we have these two legs, and the legs are going on the mechant. They're an important part of it. And this part's a little loosey-goosey. So, wow, this is actually a really bad instance of it. I'm trying to connect the two together so that they move together. It's not cooperating, but it's fine. So this ant will take these two legs, and we can go up here. Now we have to bring them up to the mecha and connect them. And then the last thing we'll have to do is the mandibles. Oh, that didn't work quite as I would like. There we go. Now once we connect this gas and water like that, we did the water preemptively if you noticed. Whoops. Really not supposed to die there, but it's alright. Now we do mandibles. Here's the worst trick in the game in my opinion. Nah, I mean there's a lot of awful tricks, but Rocket Ship is doing this entire series without using any of the platforms or cogs, without using weaving webs. You just kind of attach yourself to the bottom and laser it up. It is pretty hard, but there is a knack to it, so you get used to it. It's just pretty easy for it to go wrong if you're not careful, both in the setup and the actual execution. Oh god. So we also did something called I don't know actually what we call it anymore. I need to remember. But we sent the mandibles through the forge without using the platform that's specially designed to do that. Oops. And now we're attaching the mandibles here, but you have to laser the mandibles through the forge at in a specific way, or else it probably won't work. With the flat end towards you while you're lasering it, or else it won't get enough speed, and we theorize that it bumps into something in the middle of there, but I don't know. It's hard to say for sure what's going on in that forge. So now we're going to do something called reverse mudslide. Whoops. Where we go in what's supposed to be a one-way kind of place. You see that metal door? That's only supposed to open for us if we're going from beetles, which is where we're headed to, into ants. But since we used the journal transition, it moved it out of the way. And for just that brief moment where it was out of place, we managed to slip by it. And now we're in beetles. We're actually halfway through beetles. There's a bunch of rooms we skip because of reverse mudslide, so we're more like halfway through it than like just starting it. But yeah. Ants is really the most complicated bit of the run. Beetles is probably the simplest because it's really just movement. There's no puzzles, and any puzzles that are there we do skip. There are these water segments. This is easy water. There's easy water and hard water, colloquially. That one's easy water. You'll see hard water later and probably will be able to surmise why it's called that. That's the a dumbwaiter that we skip having to do a puzzle for by just going over it. Good movement. Here we go. Here's hard water. There's spikes everywhere. So you have to be really careful not to touch them, because if you hit any of them, there's no checkpoint in the middle of that. It's just the whole thing in one go. If you die, it's a huge time loss, especially towards the end of it. Okay, you can skip this Beatles dialogue by jumping over, and we need this dung ball. Oh, there we go. Jump spam into that ceiling in order to get a huge boost. But yeah, that beetle wants you to talk to her. You don't have to. Just jump over her. And now we have this dung ball, which we're going to use to fuel a hot air balloon. The moth was trying to tell us about the hot air balloon, but I'll tell you later. So you saw me open the journal there. That's actually to change the trajectory of that dung ball, because otherwise it kind of goes in a weird place that isn't helpful. It also puts these two ants down here. And this is important because we need these ants to kind of do the final part of or not the final part, do a certain trick that I'll get to later because it's not happening just yet. So hopefully they stay there. There is a backup that I did. We'll see. Now we're in the bees area, and the princess bee needs 20 pollen to hatch from her egg, I guess. So the queen has asked us to grab 20 pollen, and of course we're going to do 20 pollen as fast as possible. There's actually more than that. In the level, there's like 42 or something, I believe. But we're just doing the bare minimum because we're speedrunners and it's any percent. So bees is a little more complicated than beetles in that there is the pollen you have to collect, right? And I would also argue there's just more to it in terms of the movement you have to do. There's a lot of spikes, a lot of weird jump spam tricks and stuff that save you a lot of time but are hard to pull off if you don't. Stuff like that, basically. It's quite, it's fun when you do it correctly, to put it, let me put it that way. But if you're not careful, things can go south very fast, especially since, whoa, some of the checkpoints are really unforgiving. Like this room has one of the more unforgiving checkpoints, probably the most, actually. If you die there, you just get sent back to the start of the room. And then there's this huge leap of faith, although this is a checkpoint that I just passed, so it's not as bad. And then that's the 20th pollen, and here's the hive. So now we talk to the queen bee. Give her the 20 pollen and long unskippable cutscene. So while we're waiting for this, I'm going to talk about the balloon. So the hot air balloon that we've constructed, we got 3 things. We got the help of the ants to construct stuff for the balloon. We got the help from the beetles, which is the dung needed for the fuel. And we got a princess bee who is going to help guide us. And that's great. Oh yeah, and she patches up the balloon, as you'll see soon. That's really great. This is not going to be a run where donations can happen. I'm telling you that right now. At the most, I see it being something we can do in bees. Everything else is going to be like, yeah, I need to explain shit constantly. Maybe beetles too. I'll think about it. I mean, I'm doing this completely off the cuff, as you know. But yeah. So we have to set up the balloon now. And that ant from build 4 is sitting there, as you can see. We're going to set up the balloon in a specific way where this leftmost web is going to be kind of... What the hell? That was weird. This leftmost web is going to be attached to the very far left of the balloon. GDQ? No. Wait, what? Oh. Got confused for a second. Oh shit, that might actually be a problem. Get up. Thank you. Okay, we're going to use this ant, you know, the item hovering. After a certain point, we're going to sabotage this balloon. I'm waiting for a visual cue. And then we're going to use the ant to launch us into space, pretty much. The bower that we're heading towards that the hot air balloon would normally be responsible for taking us to, we're just going to fly up there. And here we are. That skips a 2-minute cutscene, in case you're wondering. So here's the final few areas of the game, the bower. This first part of the bower involves putting gems into little receptacles that open doors. This is a big platform with a big gem on it. But yeah, after this platform, it's mostly the same stuff. This big gem is interesting in that, whoops, get down, please. You just go straight up to the right, and then it spits you out straight down to the right, although I executed that rather poorly, sadly. Ideally, that's like very quick, but I got kind of caught up. At this point, we could maybe do 1 donation. So I'll leave that there. something something donations. So now we've reunited with our boyfriend, and you might be wondering, shouldn't the boyfriend just be in the mud near the start? Well, the cutscene we skipped was actually the bowerbird kidnapping this boyfriend because the bowerbird likes shiny blue things. And uniquely enough, the shiny blue things in question that are on the back of this spider. Thank you. The shiny blue things on the back of the spider also work in the little gem receptacles. And as you can see, we're kind of just dragging the boyfriend along on a leash of web in order to make this quicker. This is utilizing the item hovering we were talking about earlier. Break this branch so that this log falls over, then fly right over. We're nearing the end of the game. Let's see if we can get God Cycle. Yep, looking like a yes. So this is the ideal way to do this room. Well, except for how long that little bit took, but that's fine. And here's the final part of the game, which is the boss fight. Where's his background objects of boss fights? Yeah. Well, here we're going to get a more direct tussle with the bird, and there is a certain trick that I'm going to try to do, where we will jump spam off the bottom of the bird's neck in order to cause the second part of the fight to end instantly. And I'll try to explain that as it happens. So if I do this right, the mech ant that we're supposed to attach to the bird will automatically fall onto the bird. And the reason for that, as far as we can tell, is that because of our displacement, we cause the mech ant to spawn so close to the bird, or vice versa, it's honestly hard to tell, that it just automatically completes. Time is going to be pretty soon. It's not PP though, it's a different trick. That's Princess Pool. Time is... Time would have been when the screen faded to black after the moth talked for the second time, but someone had to talk about PP and distract me. Don't... Princess Pool is an outdated trick now. We do something else now. I don't know if we've given it a name. Like phase 2 skip or something. Okay, like I have once again proven to myself that I can literally just bust out commentary and it's fine. And if I think about it too hard, it's a problem. I can literally probably use this. The only issue is that I don't have like an introduction. I didn't introduce myself as I would have and explain this story as I might have. But like, hey, like let me pretend I'm at the start of the run. Hey, my name is Torx. I go by they or any pronouns, and this is webbed on the PC. We'll be running any percent. And yeah, you play as a little spider girl who is trying to save her boyfriend from the clutches of an evil bowerbird. And we will be going to various areas and listening to the help of various different kinds of bugs. And we will, yeah, it'll be a lot of good movement, interesting tricks, and I hope you enjoy. Time begins when I... Actually, what is it? When does time begin in this game? It's, what's the button? Okay, yeah, when I click on OK, and then 3, 2, 1, go. I think I'm just gonna use that as my submission video. As unorthodox as it is, I think it works out fine. Right? Like, that shouldn't be a problem. Thank you again, Nero, for the 100 bits. 1718 is really good for me having to talk over everything. Yeah. Okay. Finish recording.